All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing on the road here. I'm going to kick it off. So first of all, thank everyone for joining us or who is going to watch this in the future. If you catch the replay, just thank you for your time. Before we begin, just want to give you your viewing options. You are welcome to join the Zoom at any point. If you're happen to catch it and you're on Facebook, you can join via Zoom, or you can watch via Facebook as well. So if you go to or search Tau Epsilon Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma, you can check it out there. Hit that follow button while you're there. And you can also catch this replay on YouTube as well. Search Davidson Sigmas and you'll be able to catch it there if you didn't catch it live. All right. So now let's get this thing going. So April is Financial Literacy Month, and this is our second program supporting that effort. Today, we bring in Leslie Rowles, also known as Money Coach Les, who owns and operates Finutor. Finutor is a financial education company focusing on the 4 quarters to financial freedom. She's here today to provide us some education on credit. Coach Les, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself. Let us know your background, and we can get into this thing.
Thank you so much. First of all, I have to thank you all for inviting me to be here. I am so excited to be able to share with a membership of the Divine Nine. I too am a member. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And so anytime that I can convene and network with other brothers and sisters, I surely do appreciate that. So thank you again for the invite. So I am Leslie Rowles, known as Money Coach Les. And if you check my Instagram out, I'll say, what's up, everybody? It's Money Coach Les. I also have a YouTube channel. So you'll hear that. But I am originally from Alabama. I've been in North Carolina. I realized this year will be 20 years. So I think I'm a North Carolinian now. Former student athlete and coach, basketball coach, and basketball player. Also played a match or two of tennis in college, but I won't call myself a tennis player. Again, went on to coach. That's how I got to North Carolina, coaching here in the lovely Triad area. And went on to be over an advising program for student athletes at the largest HBCU in the country. And recently just left that post and went into real estate full time. I am a real estate investor. I totally support entrepreneurship. And I'm a realtor, did it part-time for about 7 years. And now I'm full-time in it with Redfin. So anybody looking to buy a house, definitely follow Money Coach Les.
We got some things we can talk about then.
Oh, absolutely.
I also invest. So yeah,
awesome.
I might have to have some discussions.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you. So I definitely want to get started. If I'm able to share my.
Let me pass it to you.
All righty. So getting started, everybody is seeing Learn and Earn now, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So again, I had a background in coaching. That'll come up a little bit later in the presentation. But one of the things that I love to do is help people. Okay. And I helped a lot of young people in education. I helped a lot of young people in athletics. I coached, like I said, coached basketball as well as advised student athletes, advised regular students. But what I wanted to do is take my teaching background and continue to help people develop personally. And one of the ways to do that was through financial education. And again, April being Financial Literacy Month, I'm extremely happy to be sharing during this month. So thank you again on that. So this is one of my presentations, Learn and Earn. Again, I take everything. It's going to be so simple. Sometimes even when I'm studying, I think I'm going to find this magic information somewhere, but hey, it's so simple. It's so simple. You just have to know it. I do this also because one of my mottos is, why have gifts and talents if you cannot share them with others? And so I'm here to give. All right. So again, let's get right into this. Again, it's an honor to welcome you to the Learn and Earn experience. My purpose is to provide individuals with a financial foundation so that they may contribute to a larger network. If you're good, we're all good, because the more we know, the more we can actually help others to learn and get better. So we want to get powerful information and definitely a great networking experience. Tonight, we'll talk about a little bit about the history of credit in America. We'll stay on that very shortly, why we do what we do, and then a snapshot at credit. So I will hope we can hold our questions to the end. Unless you have something pressing, please let me know. I turned my images off. So if someone has something, could you help me?
Yep.
Know that someone, thank you.
I'll help you out. I got it.
Thank you. Thank you. So just a little bit about the history of credit. This is something that a lot of us don't know. We know the names of the credit bureaus and things like that, but let's see where this system started, because you got to believe me, we are in a system. It's a system that has been designed to keep people in certain places. But when you know the rules of the game, you can play it at a higher level. And that's all I want to do, is be able to give you a little bit of information that can arm you to know where we're going. So let's go back all the way to 1899, when the retail credit company, it was a company that we now know as Equifax, but then they were retail credit company. And what they did is when people came into stores, they would write down the names of people and their credit and how they did. And then they began selling those individuals' information. Sounds very familiar. All the way back in 1899, this was something about selling your information to make a profit on it and to put information out about you. Moving on to 1956, two really smart men named Bill Fair and Earl Isaac formed the Bill Fair and Earl Isaac Corporation, which we now know as FICO. You've heard of your FICO score before, and that's where this came from. So they developed the credit scoring system that's a little different from today, but they actually founded what we know as FICO score today. In the 60s, oh man, it was booming. People were buying houses. People in the middle class was very, very strong. Houses, they were making great money in the 1960s. But then there was also some lending practices that were getting a bit unscrupulous, and people were being taken advantage of. And so this is the time that credit cards were actually being introduced. And while people were getting credit cards, they were actually being abused by the system in how they were collecting the money back from them. So that led up to like 1971. So the government started investigating how credit companies were working. And in 1971, they passed the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which we know as the FCRA. That's how it's referred, FCRA. And it was enacted by Congress. Along with that, with those unscrupulous acts that were going on, people were getting further and further in debt. Sounds a little bit familiar today, right? People getting further in debt from student loans. It is really, really hurting a lot of people. But because of that, the Fair Debt Collection and Practices Act was enacted in 1977 to help curb some of those practices that were hurting people. In 1989, the FICO score became the standard, which is what we know now. So it wasn't a real long time ago that this system actually got really structured and formed to track everyone, okay? And if you want to be into the system, you're gonna need some credit, not bad credit, but you're going to need some credit. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And so FICO was put into place, and it was supposed to be structured so you wouldn't be judged on your color, your gender, your orientation, your identity, any of that. You should not be judged on the basis of for your credit. So that's became the structure. And then 2006, can you imagine it? The big three, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they saw how, the credit bureaus, how the other ones were getting money by selling all this information. They decided to come up with their own score, which is the Vantage Score. Some of you may have Credit Karma, you may have Mint. Those are your Vantage scores, very similar to FICO, but not exactly the same because they kind of, the model is based on a few other different criteria. So it gets you close, but not exactly the same. If you really want to go get that house or car, you're going to need to see your FICO score. And again, Vantage score is not used a lot. FICO is the main score. Vantage score is only used about 10%. So a little bit of engagement if you all don't mind, that's in the presentation right now. What's the average credit score in America? Anybody want to drop that in the chat just so we can know? Let me see what you all are thinking about with this.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess. I'm gonna say like 5. So I'm gonna say 550.
550. Okay. Is that Vantage or FICO?
I'm gonna go Vantage.
Go Vantage. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Someone dropped it in chat. Someone said a 680. Curious, Rob, tell me, is that Vantage or FICO?
I'll say FICO.
FICO. Okay, cool, cool. Let's go ahead and move along so we can get through all of this. The average score, okay, in America for Vantage is 695 and
Dang.
for FICO 714.
That's high.
Oh yeah, shocking, right?
It is.
Very shocking. So overall, and by and large, America actually do have good credit scores for those that have credit scores. So that would be the piece that sometimes we don't think about. But by and large, it is because you know what? There are a lot of people that do have this information and they know how to play the game. So let's look at it by region because, hey, we're on Facebook, so people could be all over. We're here in the Southeast. But look at those annual credit score averages by location of where you live. So up in the Northeast, a lot of money, a lot of big money. They have pretty good credit scores, averaging about a 728. Whereas in the Southwest, you know, Texas, Nevada, those areas, New Mexico and Nevada, the 696 is the average. And if we think about the demographics of the people in these different places, these scores may make a little sense to you why they are what they are. A little bit more data background by income. Average credit score for low income individuals is about a 658. Moderate income, about 692. Middle income, 735. Upper middle income 774, which again, also they do have another classification of the rich, and their credit score kind of falls in that same area. But if you look at your money and look where you fall, you'll start to see where most people fall. Now, what does this say to you? To me, it looks like the less money you have, the lower your credit score, or less money you make, the lower your credit score would be. But my opinion, this is my opinion only, I just think that's because people don't have the same information and they don't have access to the same information. And again, that's part of my platform and purpose is to get this information out, because I do believe, although a person may make $32,000 or less, I do believe they can have a 700, a 720 credit score. It's just knowing the rules of the game and playing it at a high level. So how I do this is through 4 Quarters of Financial Freedom. Finutor is my company. What I do is take individuals from the beginning, your mindset, anything that you want to do, whether it's lose weight, make money, learn how to cook, it has to start with your mind. You got to have your mind right to do anything that you want to do. So that's quarter 1. Again, y'all, basketball is my sport. 4 quarters is how we played the game. And I definitely feel like I know how the game gets stronger as the game goes on. In quarter 2, we talk about budget and credit. You got to know how much money you got and where your money's going. And then tonight, we're kind of hitting on credit a little bit. Quarter 3, investing for passive income. That's where we begin to talk about stocks and real estate. I invest in stocks a little bit. I am not a pro. I have been fortunate enough to make a little money and happy about that. But when you start investing for passive income, not just income, passive income, making money while you sleep. It's kind of money I like. That is quarter three. And then what we're looking for is quarter four, financial freedom. Now, when I say financial freedom, it's not just about the dollar amount. It's about being in position to do the things that you want to do. It's about your mind being free, that you don't stress about money because you know you've put it in places and you've done the right things with your money, that there's no more stress and you're free in your mind, which ultimately your money is free also. So that's what I do. That's what I do through financial coaching. Everything that I'm going to talk about tonight and what you've probably learned, you can learn on your own. Have nothing to hide. You can go out and do this all by yourself. But sometimes you need a little bit of accountability. You need a little bit of structure. And that's where I come in with financial coaching. So we'll talk about that a little later on. But why is credit important? Okay. Why is it important? Anybody care to shout that out? If you might know. Outside of the slides being up. Okay, no problem. The answer is right there on the screen. You need credit for different things in your life to be able to live a stressful life, a stress-free life, and to be able to navigate through the world. If you're applying for a job, buying a car, a house, you want to get insurance, it's important that you have good credit, because the better your credit, the better it's associated with the things that you can do. Certain jobs, if you're trying to work in the banking industry, you do not apply if you don't have good credit. You're not going to get in there. You're a risk or a liability. So you want to have good credit so you can apply for any job that you are qualified to do. Buying a car, yeah, you can have a low credit score and get a car, but if your interest rate has ever been at the 13, 14% interest, that means your credit was really low and you're paying a lot of interest on that car. So credit is the ability to get things, but interest is the penalty. And so with a better credit score, you have lower interest, and that's what we want to shoot for. Again, I think everybody knows buying a house or even your insurance. If you have bad credit, you're more of a risk that you'll have a claim on your insurance. And so you get not so good insurance rates if you have bad credit. So how do I know it's on my credit report? One, you can get a free copy of your credit report every year from all 3 credit bureaus for free, your credit report. And you need to know what's on your credit report. So you can get this from Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. I try and break mine up during the year. So maybe around January or February, I'll get one from, let's say, TransUnion. And then about May or June, I'll get one from maybe Experian. And then around September, October, even into November, get one from Equifax. So you're still looking at your credit report because everything is not on each report. Some things only report to TransUnion. Some things report to all 3. So you got to know what's on each of your reports to do so. And do know you can get one free every year for free at the website there, annual report, creditreport.com. So when you get that report, what are you looking for? One, you want to look for accuracy. Remember that law that was passed back in 1971, the Fair Credit Reporting Act? That is the law that governs everything about credit. That is the law that says your credit report must be 100% accurate. Okay, it must be 100% accurate. And if it is not, you have a chance to have some things removed from your credit report because it's not accurate. 2, you should be looking for information only about you. So if you've ever gone into a business transaction with someone else, or maybe lived with someone else as a roommate and you all shared an apartment, were on the lease together, sometimes things will happen where their information and your information is merged together. And then you'll start to see things on your credit report that's not necessarily yours. it belongs to someone else or that other person, and it could be negative, and that you don't want that on your credit report. Okay. Got to see a comment here. It says good stuff. The burden of proof is on the creditor. Absolutely. It has to be 100% accurate. And when we get a little bit into the tips, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Again, your addresses and employers. Ever stay with somebody for about 2 or 3 months, and then, you just needed somewhere to crash for a little bit, and then you move, but the address is on your credit report. Depending on where it is, remember we looked at the data of the location in America, your credit score is based actually on your address. If you live in a really, really high income area, then yeah, your credit is given a little bump. If you live in a lower income area, you're probably going to be penalized a little bit. Is that fair? No, but that's kind of how the credit reporting happens. So you want to make sure all your addresses and employers are right, because your employees are put on your credit report as well. And if you had a bad situation with one employer, you might want to try to get that removed from your credit report. Just, it's not going to really hurt you bad, but I don't like seeing places. When I was younger, I worked a month. Take that off. It doesn't count. And then negative information. Anything that's negative, you want it off. Okay. If it's accurate, we have to talk a little bit more. But anything negative, we want to try and clear that up. So all negative information, 30-day late, being late on your payments, having a high debt to credit ratio, or again, late on something, bankruptcy, foreclosure, those things we want to try and get off. They're going to stay on your credit report only up to 7 years. Now, if you're at about year 5 or 6, we might want to hold up. Okay. That you don't want to necessarily mess with, because in 7 years, you can get it off. It comes off anyway. Now, tip here, little Jim, it doesn't automatically come off all the time. Sometimes you have to request for it to come off. So if you got something that, you had a little credit card situation back in college, and that was like 15 years ago, and you look at your credit report and it's still on there, get that off. You don't want that negative. You want a good looking credit report. Okay. And then if you have a bankruptcy, now that can stay on your credit report up to 10 years. Again, though, after about year 5, it's not as impactful, but it's on there, but it's not affecting your score as much. Everybody good with that? Awesome. Oh, looks like we got jammed up a little bit. There we go. All right. So you look at your credit report and it has some errors on it. Okay. All right. So the first thing, and someone just mentioned a second ago, the burden of proof is on that creditor. Contact them if you have a mistake on your credit report. That includes even the amount that they say you might owe. Okay. If it's not 100% to the penny, you can dispute that. Okay. You want to contact the creditor and contact the credit agency. I really love when people have collection agencies on their credit report, because they're not the original creditors. So how do they prove that that's yours? Okay. How do they? Many times, most time they can't, because they need your original signature. And if they're just a collection agency that bought your delinquent file for pennies on the dollar, they can't prove it's yours, and it must come off. As a tip, that means your credit score might bump up a few points. Okay, when you do contact the creditor or the credit agency, specifically the credit agency, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, you want to clearly identify what the mistake is. If your bill was $332.02 and they got that you owe $335.04, is wrong. They have to take that off, or they have to verify that it's actually correct. They usually cannot. And if they're off, it comes off. State the facts. If you made payments and they weren't being applied, you want to do that. We're not going to get too deep into a story. We only going to give what happened when we said this bill you have on my credit report from January 2005. I'm not aware of this. Please send me verification that this is my bill. Explain why you're disputing the information, and again, request for it to be removed or corrected if it's wrong, because sometimes it is your debt. They have the verification, so they need to clear it up. If it's $332, they need to make it $332. All right. Now, another reason people's credit score can be hurt is because of identity theft. So you want to review your bank statements and check your credit report often for suspicious activity. I recently had to work with a bank because someone not from Google, but had some type of little Google payments that were like $2.14. Okay, that wouldn't be a problem, but they had about 12 of them on my credit report. Not my credit report, but off in my bank account. That was wrong. So someone had gotten some of my information that got into my account. They happened to squeeze in a $274 State Farm insurance payment too. Got caught that one too. So please check your statements to be sure everything is correct. Again, your bank statements, look for charges that you didn't charge. On your credit report, we talked about those addresses and employers. Look for the ones that you didn't even work for somewhere, and it's on your credit report. Your identity may have actually been fraudulently used, and so you want to check for that. And if worse comes to worse, if you start to see a lot of errors and mistakes, you might want to put a fraud alert or what's called a credit freeze on your credit. That means no one can pull your credit for any reason unless they have your permission. Not even you. If you go apply for something, you put the freeze on, you're going to have to get that freeze removed from the bureau that you asked to put it on there. Because if you do it with just one of them, it's going to freeze on all of them. Cool. Uh-oh, now it was right. There were no errors. So what do we need to do? First thing, the very first thing you need to do to start getting your credit report is pay your bills on time, all the time. Every single bill, every single month, 2 weeks, whatever, when that bill is due, pay it. If it's a minimum amount, pay that minimum. If you can pay more because you want to decrease your debt, do so, but make sure you pay all your bills on time, every time. Do not get close to your credit limit. I'm not gonna go here and do a little bit of fourth grade math, but 30% of that credit limit. So if you have a credit card and it's $1,000, again, if somebody will put it in the chat, how much should you have on that credit card? They said, here's a credit card for $1,000. How much should you actually spend? Oh, got an answer. Oh, someone said $100. That would be 10% on that. That is phenomenal. That would be a phenomenal number. Got another one. Let's see here. No more than $299. Right. That gets you at 29.9%. You definitely don't want to go over 30% on a credit card. All right. So whatever your limit is, divide it by 3. And you can't go, you should not go over. You can. The bank will let you keep swiping it all the way up to that $1,000. But then that's going to hit your credit in a negative way because you have went over the 30% threshold. Okay. Thanks, Austin, for sharing that. That keeps you right on the borderline. But a good place to shoot for is about 25%. You're still looking pretty. It's not impacting your credit and you're making your payments. You're looking good to the banks. Establish a loan credit history. All right. Don't close things. Don't close good things. Okay. On your credit report, you got a credit card. It's good. You say, I don't ever use a credit card. I'm gonna close it. No, you want to keep that credit card open that you're good on, because it's like a baby. It's gonna grow up. It's gonna grow up, and you're going to need to nurture it. The older it gets, the better it is for you. Question.
Yeah, I have a question regarding length of history because, it kind of relates to children, right? Like, because I know there's some access to information regarding children and when they should start their credit, right? If you have kids, a lot of us are fathers. So when did you recommend opening up a credit card for your child to get their credit history started? Because I mean, you can do it, relatively quick, but that establishes their history. So it's a little like Jedi trick to get them
Yeah,
started on the right foot.
absolutely. I would recommend actually adding them as an authorized user on your credit. Okay. You go ahead before you put something actually in their name, just go ahead. That starts building their credit by adding them as an authorized user, and their credit starts. Because again, we may hit on it a little bit later. There are a lot of people that are credit invisible. They don't have any credit. And I think I pulled up an image. I may show it to you all later. Again, in real estate, have a new tenant coming on, do check, and they're a perfect person. They have no credit. Credit score is about 571, but they have no credit. And so that's actually a bad thing that they don't have credit. And then 4, only apply for the good question. Appreciate you asking that. Only apply for the credit that you need. I know it's so tempting when you're in a department store and they say, oh, you can get an extra 20% off. Just apply for this card. That's not good. Although it's really quick, they tell you right on the spot, you get your 20% off. But that's an inquiry on your credit report, and that's a hit against you. And that, although inquiries don't hurt you bad, they hurt you. Okay. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is erase our debt. We're trying to get our debt down as low as possible. So get only what you need. I don't know why this thing stalls on me sometimes. There we go. So here is the magic secret that everybody thinks. It's everywhere. If you know these things, you know how to play the rule of credit. And so if this were a pie, but we're looking at the percentages, your payment history, remember I said pay everything on time all the time. That's 35% of your credit score. When you're looking at your score, what's comprised of it? Do you have some late payments? If they give you a 30-day late, a 60-day late, a 90-day late, you stop paying on something, that's really, really hurting you. That's why I say pay all the time, every time. The next part of it is 30% of your credit score is the amount you owe, the debt to credit ratio. So we talked a little bit about that credit card a few minutes ago. If it's $1,000 limit, we want to keep that at $300, right? We don't want to go over that. And it's very interesting that 30%, hint, 30% you want to stay at, and that's 30% of your score. Okay, so that's a good way for you to remember when you get a credit card or a bank loan, you now see, or line of credit, you see where you kind of want to keep that number to keep your credit in check. Already, 2 things you can do that's in your control is 65% of your credit score. You do these 2 things, you are really managing your credit well. Now you're in the driver's seat, and you got a few more areas that you can improve on. I'm gonna jump over to the length of credit history. You talked about the baby and it growing up. The longer and the older your good credit is, the more impact it has in your credit score. That's 15%. Again, don't close good credit cards. If you say, well, I don't have a balance, I don't use it, put $5 on it. Okay, you're going to be way under that 30%. It's still growing up, it's still aging. If you close it, you're going to reduce the years, the average number of years you have. So if you have 3 credit cards, or a bank loan, a credit card, a car, and you decide you're going to close the credit card and it was 6 years old, well, now those 2 young ones, their age averages, and it brings down your credit score. Again, that's a phenomenal way to see how another way you can improve your credit score. And then credit mix, that's having different types of credits. Banks want to know that you can manage your finances. So if the 2 type you really need to have is installment credit and revolving credit. Installment credit is like a car or a house. It's the same payment every month until you pay it off. Revolving credit kind of changes. Hey, you got a credit card. 1 month, your minimum payment is $50. The next month it's 65 because you had to go get a bigger ticket item. The next month you paid that off and it goes back down to 45. That's revolving. It just keeps going. You can add to it, you can take away, add to it, take away. Having a mix of those, multiple mix, that's 10% of your credit score. Okay. And so you can just help that just by having different types. There it is. So if we got those two things at 30 and 35%, we're controlling. And we over here, we got the baby and we are getting different types of credit. You controlling your score. You in the driver's seat. And then finally, the new credit, 10%, that's inquiries. That's that person asking you if you want to apply to get that 20%, that 15% off. You don't need it, don't do it. Now, inquiries is 10% of your credit. It's not a big part of it, but if you're out just applying everywhere, just because it seems like, oh, I can do this, I can apply for this, I can apply for this, and you're getting approved, but you're getting inquiries. Those stay on your credit report for 2 years, and then they automatically come off. If it doesn't come off again because you're checking your credit report, you just call and that'll take that off. But it does stay on your credit report for 2 years. After about a year, it starts to be less of an impact, but it stays on there. We good there? Awesome. So just looking at the credit score ranges, so you might know where you are. Hopefully you all have had a chance to look at your credit score and see how you're classified, okay? Poor credit is if you have less than a 580. So if we're less than that 580, we definitely want to be checking things out. Okay, I was gonna ask the same question. Thank you. That's poor credit, and that shows that you are a bigger risk. Again, if you're trying to get a job and your credit score is down this low, it could impact you depending on the type of job it is. Anything that has to do with finances, you probably won't get that job. Okay, so you want a good credit score. 580 to 669, that's considered fair. You'll get approved, but you'll probably pay higher interest rates. Okay, probably pay higher interest rates. And so that's the main reason that you kind of want to get out of that classification, because you're not doing bad, but you actually want to not pay as much interest. 670, 739 being good. That's what most lenders consider as a good score. You probably go in a car lot, they'll approve you pretty quickly, give you a decent interest rate, excuse me, and you can go right on. All right, now we're getting into where we really want to be, the very good place, the 740 to 799. You may have heard people say, I'm trying to get in the 750 club. That's where they're trying to be, right here. Again, you've shown that you can handle credit, you know how to manage it, you know those rules, and you probably won't have an issue provided your income meets what you're trying to get. You won't have an issue in getting anything. Okay, you can just go in there and confidently apply. When the car lots say they got these big discounts, they're usually looking for people that fall in this credit range. And then 800 plus, you are low risk. You can do whatever you want to do, again, provided your income matches it. All right, so no secrets, just tips. I haven't told you all anything that hasn't been said before. It's just sometimes when we put it in the perspective that we can understand, we start to grow with it. So 1, pay all your bills on time, every time. We've talked about that. Please pay your bills on time, every time. Make sure you keep each credit card below 30% usage to ensure that you're staying below that 30% threshold that's affecting 30% of your credit score. Okay, going back to number 1 on the statement date, if you got a credit card, the way that you're billed or how it reports to the credit bureaus on the statement date. So if you know your statement date is, I don't know, April the 20th, on April 19th, if you pay that down when it reports on April 20th, it looks like you've lowered your balance. Now you might want to put something back on there April 21st, and that's fine. But you playing the game, you're finding out when you are going to be penalized and when you're not. And then we'll jump back over to number 3. I'm sorry about that, you all. But if you have a problem with your credit reporting, you can also submit a claim to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. You may have heard that. That's for consumers. If you're trying to get something off your credit report and the credit bureaus are not removing it, okay, they're not removing it and it's not supposed to be on there, you can report that to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And they will get involved and help you rectify the matter. So you got places and you got resources in place that can help you get this credit score to where you want it to be. All right. Number 4 tip, if you consolidate your bills onto one card, it may hurt your credit score. We talked about that 30%. We were talking about one credit card. If you have 3 of those and you say, okay, well, I'll just put all these 300s on one and these other ones will keep 0. That's the second layer is keep them all below 30%. And so you can have the total below 30%, because now we're talking about $3,000 and that balance has to be, what's that? $300, not 300. I'm sorry. Got to pull the calculator out. I know somebody smart on here could just throw this.
That's Dave. Dave is the math guy.
900. He was supposed to shout that out. $900 total is what you should be using across the board. Again, number 5, check your credit report regularly for accuracy. And if you have that problem, again, submit it to the bureaus. So here are just some resources that I use, some places that you might want to go through. And I think you say you will have a replay on this, so you can come back to this to see. Very, very good support aids and information that can help you when you have a question. Man, the consumer finance, the Bureau, oh gosh, they have so much information that is really easy. They've kind of broken it down in a really simple way to use. All righty. So now we're at the part where we want to open it up. I've talked a long time, and I want to make sure if there are some questions, again, I keep it basic. It's the foundations, because in basketball, once again, if you can dribble, pass, and shoot, you can play basketball. That's how you learn to get that crossover. You get your mindset right and practice it. You can learn to do that with that. So questions.
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other tools? I know you mentioned Mint earlier. But I've been using Mint since before day one, since before they were bought out by Intuit. So I love Mint, but is there any other platforms you recommend just to kind of track your expenses or anything like that?
Yes, I should put my thing in the chat. Smart Credit is another one, very similar to Mint. Mint is, I will give as a consumer to be free. It's a very, very good platform in that it tracks your bank account, your payment dates, give you those reminders, obviously give you information about other tools like insurance, loans that you can get. So that's very, very good. They're basically an advertisement company. They'll pull you in for the information and then they're trying to sell you on other things. Same with Credit Karma, very similar platform, just maybe not as advanced as Mint. So Credit Karma would be another one, but Smart Credit. Let me see.
Yeah, I use Credit Karma too.
Me too. Smart Credit, I would recommend, and I'm putting my link in there. I did not do that right. Oh, yeah. Smart Credit is for credit monitoring. So once you start, if you have a pretty low credit score and you want to start monitoring your credit, okay, Smart Credit would be very, very good for that. Still monitor your bills like Mint, still monitor your payment dates, provides you with the credit score, again, the Vantage Score, but it also also will tell you your score, like for auto insurance. It gives you tools if you want to know, what do I need to do to try and move my score up 10 points or 20 points. It gives you those what if scenarios that you can use. And for some reason, I am not, hold on. Sorry, everyone. Okay. Credit. I did that wrong. Okay. So those are some two more that I would recommend. There's tons out there. Undebted, that's another link, and I can provide you all these links. I'm sorry I didn't put them
No, it's
together,
okay.
but you asked a very good question. It definitely helps you to reduce your debt, giving you a plan, whether you want to use the snowball method, it's kind of getting off credit, or the avalanche method, whichever one you want to use, but it puts it right there and breaks it down for you by you just inputting your information. It's definitely, it will guide you, and it's only like $12 a year. So that's really, really good. It's a good question, Dave. Thank you.
I have another question.
Oh, yeah.
If nobody else is going to ask questions, I'm going to ask questions just because I think it's important. We may have some collegiate folks. None of us are in college anymore, but we may have collegiate folks that catch this replay, and a little bit experience share. Like for me, like we understand that credit it's a necessary evil, right? It's a gift, and it could be a massive curse, right? For me, I got my first credit card in college. I got something in the mail from Citi, and they gave me a huge, like I had no credit at that point, but they gave me a huge limit. And I had never used credit cards before. And so I just went nuts. Like this is crazy. I don't have to, I can pay like the minimum on this and I can do what I want. And that's what I did, right? And it took me a little while to kind of get out of that realm, to get out of the trap, because it takes you a while. Once you get into that, it's very difficult to get out.
Do you remember your interest rate?
I have no clue. It was in 20s.
Okay.
It was in 20s. Yeah, it was in 20s. I do remember. It was in the 20s. Yep.
Okay.
It was in 20s. So my question to you is, what do you recommend for a college student that's just getting started, but you're walking a real thin line, because you're responsible now. Yeah, like you have to kind of consider that. So what do you recommend for college students?
It's so funny. This presentation was made for college age students, 18 to 25, because again, the basics are critical. And so just learning this information, once you get that credit card, you'll now know. If you could have still got that credit card, if you knew this though, you wouldn't have done what you did. You just didn't have the information. And
Very
that's
true.
what I need everyone to spread the right information, because they're getting out. You're going to need if you've lived on campus the whole time, you want to get an apartment. Yeah, they jump out of school and you're ready to get that new car. It can be a used car, but it's new to you, and that works. But when you go in there and you sit down, they say, yeah, we got you approved. You have no clue. And you signed something for 13% interest rate. That is horrible for a car. So it's the information is what I'm definitely recommending. And to be able to, you said some college students might be looking at this later. Again, I would love to have opportunity to talk to younger people, because you all can see it from the adult perspective of already messing up or doing well, where they have no clue. They just think, get it, pay what they say, and keep going, and not realizing they're paying for a car 2 times, or that apartment is really hard to get into, especially now in this market, because they have no credit or bad credit, because they did something by making a mistake on the rules of the game. Thank you for that. Got some things in the chat.
Go ahead, Dave. I think Dave was waiting. Go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to add on, man. Like, I remember, like, in college, man, I waited until, like, my junior year to finally get a credit card. But, like, it's so enticing because they were out here giving away food. They out here giving away the whole nine. And then on top of that, you're not thinking about the aftermath of it all. You out here spending $500 on clothes and electronics, and you end up spending $2,000 on it with the interest, because you out here playing that minimum payment. So it's just, I think it's very important to have, younger folks understand, because at least when I was going through high school, they weren't teaching that stuff. I think they're getting better now. And I think in college, they're getting better now. It's just, they don't teach you financial literacy, and it's arguably the most important thing to have.
Yeah, that you made a very good point, David. We're not taught these things in school, right? It's the most critical information that you need to go on in life, yet they don't teach it to you. And to his point, they are starting to teach it in schools. I'm hoping all these different programs make it fun and exciting. Again, you all saw the bright colors and stuff in my presentation, because this actually was made for my younger college age students. I was inspired to begin doing it for younger people from my younger cousin, who called me about real estate. He wanted to know about real estate and credit. And I was like, oh my gosh, here I am doing all this stuff, investing. I got this financial education company, and my own family doesn't even know. So I was so glad he reached out. And that's why I started to do it, like to focus on certain groups of people. But as far as being younger or older, the foundation is still the same. And he was talking about those credit card companies being on campus. Thank goodness that's now banned. They can't come on college campuses anymore. So that's the horror story of many of us that are, Gen Xers. We got caught up in that time where they were still getting those t-shirt. Man, was a t-shirt imported back then?
Yeah, they were giving away all kind of stuff.
Oh man. And like you said,
it was funny because like when I first started college, I was 17. So then when I noticed, as soon as I said I was 17, they were like, oh no, we can't mess with you. And I'm like, I kept saying I was 17 for a very long period of time.
You're right, because that's against the law to get credit from someone under 18. So that's a good way. Somebody asked for a tip for young people, tell them you're 17.
Great. That's a great
I like
one.
that one.
That is a good one.
That is a good one. Okay. Do we have another question or a comment?
Yeah, MJ put in a comment about secure credit cards from a credit union can also be a good way to build credit.
It's a good way to start, because it's their money that they're putting on this credit card. When you go to the bank, some people may not know what a secured card is. It's just going to the bank, giving them $200 or $300, maybe $500, and they give you in turn back a card to use. But when you spend it, it's your money. The rules still apply, what we've talked about, but it's your money instead of the bank's money. But they allow you to start that way. But in changing generational type of things that we just haven't done in the past overall, add your kids to your credit card. You don't have to give them the card, but just make them an authorized user, and they begin to grow their credit off of your back. That's us helping each other.
Yeah, that is a great suggestion. I'm definitely gonna do that. That's a great suggestion. So I'm definitely trying to get my kids started off on the right track. So.
Awesome. Well, if there are no more questions,
I got a quick question for you.
Okay.
Hey, so what is your opinion on those who don't? So I'm a Dave Ramsey guy, full disclosure.
Okay.
And so what's your opinion on those who don't believe in, or try to minimally, focus on their credit? Because I don't use credit cards, and I'm, the only debt I have right now, fortunately, is my mortgage, because we focused on like getting out of that. So I'm always curious to know what other financial people in the arena think about that standpoint.
Funny thing, if you go to my website, I am Ramsey certified. And so I definitely understand his perspective, which is no credit cards, as you say, cutting them up and everything. However, I do the Dave Ramsey-ish because there is bad credit, which he is preaching about. That's what he's saying to avoid, but there's also good credit. And once you know these foundational rules and you move up, then you begin to use credit how it should be used, and keeping those things in perspective. It's not a bad thing. It's still about the discipline, just like, paying off your cars and things, selling your car, getting a less expensive one, all those things that Dave Ramsey teaches. I don't disagree with them. I I just think that you can do it a different way. If you know how to manage the credit, yes. If you don't know how to, yes, get rid of your credit cards because you're going to mess yourself up in trying to even become debt free. And congratulations on paying off everything, Rob. That's awesome.
I got a comment on it because that is a great point. I listen to Dave Ramsey as well. But I'm like you, I'm diet Dave. Like I don't really rock with him too, like, because I feel like it depends on your goals, right? If your goals are to become financially free and not have any debt, cool. But listen, the rich get richer by using other people's money, right? So I'm gonna use that to my advantage to build my empire, right? I'm gonna leverage it the right way. As long as I have a plan, right? I'm not just doing it to do it. So I'm with you. I rock with Dave Ramsey, but at some point too, I think it just really depends on your goals.
Your goals and your discipline.
Right.
Yeah. I really think my perspective is that he's talking to those that are just undisciplined and just take it all the way and do one thing at a time. And that works. That works.
I do agree with that. You know, like I've had when we first started out with the whole process, you know, I was a bit gun ho, but you know, my wife is not on that same page. So I've had to back off a little bit. But I mean, I do, as long as people can really understand how it is that you need to maneuver credit, because I think there's so many misconceptions, and people think that, oh, I need to have this credit card and this car note that I can't afford, and you know, you have so many people living above their means, all to obtain something that they really should just, you know, scale it back on. And I see a lot of that. So you know, that's part of the main issue when it comes to a lot of credit. So you know, I do agree with, you know, the diet Dave, as you said, brother.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
My golden rule when it comes to credit, I don't want to pay more than 4% ever.
Okay.
I pay my credit card off every month. I try to get no interest wherever I can. Nothing below 4%, nothing above 4%.
Yeah. Banks don't like you. The banks don't like you, but I like you though. That's great. But yeah, they hate people who pay their credit cards off. That's good. Any more questions? All righty. So guess what it is? Quiz time. We're gonna go through this real fast because we are losing time. So initially, we're pulling your credit reports. What area of your reports should you review first? What we got? Just throw that letter in the chat for me. A, B, C, or D.
Yeah. Are you sharing something? We don't see your screen. All we see is your desktop.
Okay, that's not good. Let's see here. Let's stop share and let's reshare. That's Zoom for you, right?
Yeah.
Got it?
There we go. Yep.
Okay. Initially, when pulling your credit reports, what area of your report should you review first? Inquiries, personal information, public records, or your account history? A, B, C, or D? Boom. Uh-oh, some people scared to take the test. It's okay. You all really won't fail, okay? It's cool. It's really cool.
I'm rocking. I like tests.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. See some answers coming through. B, your personal information. Always check to make sure your name is right, especially I think I'm talking to a lot of men. And if you're a junior, oh man, you and your dad can have some interesting times with credit reports. So you definitely want to check your personal information to be sure that it is accurate. What are the two types of credit scores that are most used, that are used most often? LexisNexis and TransUnion, Vantage and FCRA, FICO and Vantage, FICO and Debt. Oh yeah. Okay. Some people coming in here now. FICO and Vantage. That's right. FICO was the score that was originally, and it's the most used. Vantage was formed by the 3 credit bureaus, which I did not say are private companies. They are not government entities. Okay. They got this bureau name that sounds real official, but they are a private company, just like a Walmart, the Sheets, and they sell your information for profit. Okay. So do know that. Don't be scared of them. They're just a business trying to make money. What's the biggest factor in increasing your credit scores? Not applying for a lot of new credit, paying your bills on time, spending on your credit cards each month, or not closing any of your older accounts? Which one is the biggest factor? Okay, I see some B's, D's, B. Check it out. B, pay your bills on time, all the time. Anybody know that percentage of your credit score? Say it, brother. You talking, go ahead and say it out loud. Uh-oh. Percentage of your credit score when you pay your bills, your payment history.
What was it, 35?
35. That's right,
Yeah.
35. 35%. It help you increase your score. Don't be late. Don't be late. Oh, thanks, Glenn. 35%. That's right. And here we go. Last one. You received a bill in the mail from a collection agency. What law allows you to ask the collection agency for validation? The Fair Credit Billing Act, Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act? You received a bill in the mail from a collection agency. What law allows you to ask the collection agency for validation? Here we go. Let's check it out. Seeing a lot of C's. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Remember in the 60s, unscrupulous things were going on. Then to your point, a lot of people's point, the Fair Credit Reporting Act is what makes sure your credit report is right. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is to make sure you're not penalized or abused because a collection agency is trying to get money from you. That was fun. I like that one. I like that. Knowledge is power, but guidance sure does help. If you want coaching, again, I'm not a counselor or anything, but coaching just to help guide you along the way, definitely please contact me on my website, Finutor. But these are all the ways you can find me. I'm pretty much everywhere here. And so what I really want you to do is go to my YouTube channel. I talk a lot about financial education. I focus a whole lot on mindset because we can't get anywhere if your mind isn't set to do so. So please subscribe. Please tell your friends to subscribe. I do talk a lot about that. Talk a little bit about crypto on my YouTube channel. Don't talk much about stocks, a little bit, and I'm not really into crypto as much anymore. I'm still in it, believe me. Still in crypto, but I'm as this new full-time real estate agent. Leslie's been busy.
Yeah.
So, but these are all the ways that you all can follow. And then again, just some resources and things that have helped me on my way in growing as an entrepreneur in the things that I do, as well as just learning more and more secrets. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think I got, yep, right here.
Yeah. I can second that book. That's the book. That book changed my life right there, Robert Keys. And I don't even listen. I don't read a lot of books, but that book right there changed my life. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, I second that one. I read it the first time I read it. It was really good, but it wasn't until, and I can tell you on March 3rd, 2017, I was listening to something online and it's like the scales fell off. I was like, where's my book? Where's my book? I had the book. I had read it before, and I went back, totally, as you say, changed my life at that point to see it from a whole different lens. Unfair Advantage, Robert Kiyosaki again. Not necessarily a big Robert Kiyosaki fan anymore, just because of some personal things. However, I can't deny that the information is solid. And that's what you have to hear, the message sometimes, not the messenger, but the message. Think and Grow Rich. You want to change your mind and you want to see all the possibilities that you can achieve. Very, very good book for that. The guy that I was listening to on YouTube on March 3rd, 2017 was Herbalist Kareem, 4 Cycles of Life on YouTube. Someone I probably never, if somebody told me to listen to him, I didn't, but for some reason at 1 o'clock that morning, he came up on my on my YouTube. I clicked on it and it's
pretty much you all what I'm telling you. He's really real, and he gets deep. I don't listen to him as much anymore. He's got really, really deep lately. So, but still good information. And then as far as credit, Corey P. Smith, if you have an ethical bone in your body that's really, really morally strong, you might not like Corey P. Smith. His things push the envelope. However, they are legal. Okay. It's just sometimes we think of things like, I don't want to say I didn't do that, but they are legal. But him, Bigger Pockets, if you're interested in real estate, very, very good resource to start from the beginning and grow your financial empire. And then as far as stocks, one of my buddies, Broke Bull Investments teaches, I went through his course, happened to be a friend of mine. So he was able to test it. But man, when I tell you, I knew the gist of stocks, but now I know how to read charts and things like that. If you want to get into the stock market, this is where you should start. The Discord link is there. Okay. If you want to reach out to me and I send it to you, or definitely join the Discord, man. We get people giving call outs and analysis that you can just sit back and learn. And the information there that's free, that's on the Discord channel. Definitely. So that is my presentation. I hope I have given you all some value tonight. Know that you didn't waste your time. I think I see something in the chat. Oh, great book. I'm sorry, Glenn, I missed that for a second. I hope I've given you all some valuable information. Use it. Help your family to use it. Help your children to use it. Don't let them go through. If you made some mistakes, hey, this is time to help your family, your generational families continue to get better and better as we grow older. That it?
Yep. Yeah. So once again, let's thank Money Coach Leslie. You did a great job. Good information. I listen. I wish I had this, 20 years ago. Would have changed a lot of things for me. But all is well now, and
That's
you
right.
gotta learn your lessons, and sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. But I second a lot of these things for sure on this last slide. Bigger Pockets, huge. Love Bigger Pockets. Rich Dad Poor Dad, great resources. So this is awesome, good stuff. This is really, you did a great job, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you all again for having me. I enjoyed it. Hey, some of you reach out to me on my website and set up a time. I'll talk to everybody free for 15 minutes. No problem. Get you started. But I want to teach you how to fish. I'm not fishing for people anymore. I started off trying to do credit repair. And what I realized is people didn't know what I was doing. And if I don't show you what's happening, you're going to be back again. That's not my goal. My goal is for you to get this stuff and do it yourself. So I'm here, and we can do that. Hope you do reach out to me.
Awesome. And thank you so much once again, and we will reach out once again at some point.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely do.
Thank
you all
you.
have a great evening.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.